Hello everyone, talking to you today about defensive driving, how to be a safer, smarter driver and significantly reduce your chances of being involved in a crash. That is the purpose of defensive driving. And here at Smart Drive Test, we've created the Smarter Defensive Driving model. And what we want to do is move you from being a reactionary and retaliatory driver to being proactive and predictable on the roadways to significantly reduce your chances of being involved in a crash. Now, what does reactionary and retaliatory mean? This is part and parcel of social driving. This is the way that everybody else drives on the road. Somebody cuts you off and you got to get back at them. Your reaction is retaliatory. We got to figure something out to get back at the other person. We got to make the other person pay for what he or she did wrong. So that's when you're being reactionary in your driving, and we need to move away from being reactionary to respond accordingly to the traffic situation, because bad things are going to happen. Other people are going to cut you off. They're not going to stop at stop sign intersections completely. They're going to speed, and all of those they're going to tailgate. They're going to follow too closely, and on and on and on, and all of the things that we deal with every day in traffic. So we need skills and abilities that we can put in place that are going to make us proactive and predictable on the roadway. So that's what we're talking about today. Vanilla's here. Good morning. Ed Moore is here tuning in. Hello, hello. Z's tuning in from New York City. My friend Mallory is tuning in from the Maritimes there on the east coast of Canada. Elevator fan as hell here from Monticello, Indiana. Everyone's doing well. Michael's here. And awesome, taking your driver's permit this Thursday. So Michael, definitely have a look at the learner's permit playlist here. That'll give you skills and abilities, because I can show you today, and I am going to show you today, how I trick people with multiple choice questions. And it's not even really much of a trick. Once you see the inside scoop on how myself and others write multiple choice questions, it's going to be very easy for you to pass your learner's permit test. But for those of you who don't know the tips and tricks for the inside scoop on how to answer multiple choice questions, it's going to seem like a trick, but it's not really a trick. Okay, it's just the way they're crafted and the way they're created. Elevator had a blast last Friday in Rochester, Indiana. Awesome, my friend. Sebastian tuning in from Des Moines, Iowa, there in the Midwest. Hello, hello. I would suspect that Iowa is the one state, if people are trying to name the 50 states in the U.S., Iowa is often the one state that they forget. I don't know why that is. Just, it's one of those states, it's out there in the Midwest. And anyway, I digress. Defensive driving. So we have a presentation here today, 10 or 12 minutes through the presentation, then we'll come back, we'll talk to you. Also, I have an article that's down in the description, why you should be more afraid of car crashes, an article written in the Atlantic, or the Atlanta, I think it's called, and a couple of crashes that this news reporter had and was seriously injured and took a long time for him to convalesce. So if you want to have a look at that, that is a good article. I suggest you do have a look at it. The one takeaway from that article, and I'm going to repeat this again throughout the presentation, if you have a choice between a head-on collision and a sideswipe collision, take the sideswipe collision every day of the week. This is one of the reasons that interstates and freeways are safer than two-lane opposing traffic, because oftentimes you're involved in a sideswipe crash. The problem with sideswipe crashes at high speeds is oftentimes you lose control of the vehicle, you careen off the roadway, or you careen into the concrete abutments in the center of the roadway. But if there's a choice, especially in a city where many more crashes take place, between a sideswipe and a head-on, take the sideswipe every time. Because if you look at that article, you read that article, what happened was he moved to avoid the sideswipe crash with somebody that cut him off coming out of the side street, and then drove head on into a jacked up 350 Chevy. I don't know whether it was a jacked up 350 Chevy, but it was one of those big jacked up SUVs. And unfortunately, he was driving a small coupe, a car, and the truck went over top of the front and crushed his legs in the footwells of the vehicle. So one thing that you want to take away from defensive driving here today is, if you have the choice between a head-on collision and a sideswipe, take the sideswipe crash every time. It's just usually, most of the time, it's just going to result in property damage. All right, sideswipe crash every time. All right, so we're talking about that as well. I promised you a preview of driving test secrets. I've got that up. We'll have a look at that as well. And we'll go through that, and I'll show you some of the contents and show you the book. I'm actually quite happy with it, how the layout and how it looks, and I think it's quite fun to get through and whatnot. So we'll show you that as well. So we got a few good things coming up here. Presentation, here we go. So we'll get going here, and then we'll come back and we'll answer any questions you have about passing a driver's test, being a safer, smarter driver, or starting a career as a truck or bus driver. So smarter defensive driving, minimum safe distance. And one of the other pieces that surprised me a little bit about space cushion, everybody knows what space cushion means. I asked that question, and it was almost 90% of people knew what a space cushion was. So minimum safe distance, space cushion around your vehicle to protect both yourself and other road users when you're driving. For those of you new to Smart Drive Test, my name is Rick August. I was a truck driver in the 1990s, hauling freight between Canada and the United States, so all cross-border stuff. Drove buses for Greyhound and one of the regional bus lines there while I was living and working, going to school in Australia. Became a licensed commercial driving instructor in 1998. Most of my experience as a driving instructor is with semi-trucks and highway coaches. However, have done a lot of work with new drivers as well. Driver rehabilitation, help people get back to driving. Did work at a hospital, working with people who had sustained injuries, long-term brain injuries and those types of things, and taught them how to drive with hand controls. So we had that experience as well. 2006, I graduated from the University of Melbourne with a doctorate in legal history, which many of you may know is the study of policing, courts, and prisons. My expertise is in policing as it relates to traffic, oddly enough. So I'm interested in, and my expertise is in drivers, road users, and the forces that motivate them to take certain actions and how people act on the roadways and unpredictable actions and whatnot. That's what I'm fascinated with. So the online YouTube channel, I started that in 2015. It's been wildly more successful than I could have imagined. You can see the complete autobiography there or down in the description as well. Great stuff to have a look at. The podcast over at the Smart Drive Test website. Newer driver, defensive driving for after you get your license, because getting your license is a low benchmark in terms of things that you need to know how to drive. And the reason I say that is because when you learned how to drive, there's a lot of things that you didn't do. For example, you may have never driven at night, for example, because, I mean, currently we're in the middle of summer. Well, we're starting summer here where I live. It doesn't get dark until 10 o'clock at night, and it's light again at 4 o'clock in the morning. So there's a good chance that during your driver training, you've never driven at night. You may have never driven at night in the rain. So there's a lot of traffic situations that you may not have encountered during your driving. So have a look at this. The podcast, and as well have a look at this video as well. You can find the links to both of those down in the description. All right, so what is driving? Driving is both an art and a science. We take the traffic laws, the road infrastructure, which is basically the roadways on which you drive, traffic lights, controlled intersections, those types of things, and we put that together with a culture of driving. There's certain things that are accepted. For example, this weekend I went to Vancouver, took my kids to a jiu-jitsu tournament, and we're driving around in Port Coquitlam, and Google kept kind of taking me past the place I wanted to go and then making me do a U-turn. U-turns, I mean, I can do U-turns, but I'm not comfortable with U-turns in an urban area because it's not part of my driving culture. Whereas many places in the States, for example, if you go to Philadelphia, U-turns are part and parcel of the driving culture there, so know that. And I'm wondering if my dashboard is locked up because I don't have any comments coming through here. So I'm just going to restart it, so bear with me if we have a technical glitch here. There we go. It reloaded up. Excellent. Oh, okay. Everything's good. So Michael says practice permit tests on the app phone. Yes, make sure you're doing that, doing all the questions, Michael. And when you're getting 80 to 90% consistently, then you'll be ready to go down for your test. All right, so driving is both a science and the art. To drive well, we must have calm awareness. And as one person said on one of the, you asked a question about what annoys you the most about driving, and many people were saying, oh, other people not signaling. Signals are not the number one way that traffic communicates with other traffic around it. The position of the vehicle is the number one way that, position of the vehicle, position of the road user on the roadway. These are the ways that we communicate. Nose to tail, that's the way traffic is, cars and vehicles are situated on the roadway, and it provides a really kind of rudimentary form of communication. Think of it like you standing in a line at the grocery store. Generally, you're not going to talk to the person in front of you because you're looking at their backside. So this is the same thing about traffic, and it forms a very kind of crass form of communication. So rudimentary communication. So you have to think about the position of the vehicle, position of the road user on the roadway to get a better idea of what's going on around you. All right, the smarter defensive model creates is really what the acronym Scope 3, which is social driving, space management, speed management, communication, and observation. One of the things that other defensive driving models do not talk about is they do not talk about the problem of driving. Okay, as I said in the introduction, other people are going to do things that are unpredictable. They're going to do things that are retaliatory to get back at you. They're going to cut you off. They're not going to signal. They're going to brake check you and things like that. This is all part and parcel of social driving. So expecting other people to not do something goofy is like going to watch your favorite sports team and expecting the other team not to score. Sometimes it's going to happen, but not very often. It's the same thing as going out and driving. Other people are going to do goofy things when you're driving. So the tools that you have to keep yourself safe when you're driving are space management, speed management, communication, and observation. Space management is your number one tool. Maintain your 3 to 4 second following distance, stop in traffic so that you're one vehicle length behind the vehicle in front of you. Communicate effectively, the ways that we communicate. Position of the vehicle or road user on the roadway. Lights and signals. Eye contact, hand gestures, and the horn. But use the horn sparingly because it's seen as a sign of aggression in North America. Okay, observation, you have to have calm awareness. You have to be tracking and mapping road users as you're moving along the roadway, especially at intersections. And I'll talk a little bit more in detail here later in the presentation about mapping and tracking road users at intersections. So you need that room around your vehicle. You can always manage the space in front of your vehicle. Okay, if you're too close to other road users and fixed objects, there's a higher probability that you're going to hit something else. As I say, if you're not near anything, it's less likely that you're going to hit something. So maintain space around your vehicle because space buys you time, time buys you options, and options prevent crashes. And if you have time, you can respond accordingly to the traffic situation. And we want to move from being reactionary and hoping on a wing and a prayer that we're going to react in time so we don't crash into the other person, the other driver, the other vehicle, the fixed object, so that we can respond. And we have several options of how we respond. We can either steer around the emergency or we can brake, and hopefully we can get the vehicle stopped in time. If you can steer out of an emergency situation, that's going to be a better situation. All right. Stopping in traffic, so you can see the tires of the vehicle in front making clear contact with the pavement. That's approximately one vehicle length, and it has many defensive driving options and posturing. First of all, it prevents rear ending because you can be sitting there watching the traffic come up behind you. If they're coming up too fast, you can move forward, flash your brake lights, and get their attention. You can move out and around the vehicle in front of you if you change your mind or you need to go in a different direction. If the car forward rolls back, because oftentimes this happens with manual transmissions. And in an ideal world, if everybody stayed back one vehicle length, we would actually reduce congestion in our cities because all the traffic could move off together instead of one vehicle moving off and the next vehicle moving and the next vehicle moving and the next vehicle moving. There are so many people who are misinformed about congestion, and they think, oh, we got to get up to as tight as we can to the vehicle in front of us, or otherwise we're not going to get as many cars through. What happens is it's just micro delays, and the next thing you know, you're into a 5 or 10 minute delay because everybody is too close to the vehicle in front of them. All right, drive between the clusters. And I was on the highway this weekend, drove to Vancouver. It's 5 hours away, and cars insist on driving in clusters. I don't know what force there is in the world, but they insist on driving in clusters. Stay out of the flippin' clusters, okay? Because that is going to make you a safer, smarter driver. Right there. That is one technique that will help you to significantly reduce your chances of being involved in a crash. On freeways and interstates, you can control space to your front and you can control space to your side. I mean, unless you're in congested backup traffic on freeways. Manage space in front, and speed management will allow you to control space. So if you got somebody that's pacing you side by side, just let off the throttle a couple of miles an hour, a couple of kilometers an hour, and let them go in front of you, because oftentimes that's really what the difference is. And I don't know what it is about people. Get on cruise control and you get up beside them, where they're trying to pass you and then they just stop and they sit there right beside you. I'm not sure what force that is. All right, who's driving? Following too close. If you are following too close to other traffic, then you are giving up control of your vehicle, and again, hoping on a wing and a prayer that you can get your vehicle stopped. Space management, as I just talked about, you want predictable actions. You want slow, smooth actions, not aggressive actions like, oh my God, there's my exit, and then just careen across in front of traffic, getting off at your exit because, oh my God, you might miss it. Keep in mind the saying about that is, good drivers sometimes miss their exit, bad drivers never miss their exit, okay? And it's incredibly dangerous when you're cutting off other traffic on the highway. Predict traffic patterns, looking ahead at controlled intersections, mapping and tracking road users. Where are the turning lanes? Are there slip lanes? Are there left turning lanes? Is there an advanced left turning light, a light that just controls the left turning traffic? Motorcycles, we are into the time of year of motorcycles, riding in groups, riding in singles, caravans, campers, pickup trucks, rental cars, RVs, all those types of vehicles on our roadways, and many times these people are lost. And again, we are in the worst 100 days of the year because most of the traffic crashes happen in the summertime, not in the winter time, because most of the goofy people know to stay home or take alternative forms of transportation in the wintertime. In the summertime, everybody's out there and they're thinking, oh my God, I can drive my car, blah, 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 and you just go like a crazy person. They can't drive their car, and you're going to get into a crash. All right? Okay, knowing characteristics of the vehicles and roadways. Springtime is motorcycles, caravans, as I talked about, and then in the wintertime it's going to be snowmobiles and other vehicles and people that simply cannot drive in the snow and ice. All right, interpret the actions of other road users. So for example, here at construction zones, and people say, oh, if you leave space in front of your vehicle, people are going to move into that space. And I was leaving space. I was actually trying this little experiment when I was down in Vancouver. There was a crash on the Vetter Canal, as there always is a crash on the Vetter Canal, and there's absolutely no other way to get in and out of Vancouver. You can either go south or you can go east-west, but east-west, there's no alternative route to get into Vancouver. And I left space in front of my vehicle, probably about 40 minutes, 10 car lengths in front of my vehicle, because I didn't want to shift up and down through my manual transmission. I just left it in first gear and idled along. And 2 vehicles in 45 minutes moved in front of me. An Amazon van and some farm truck. And that was it. And then I just carried on with my life. All right, so looking farther down the road, knowing that construction, that vehicles are going to be moving over, and every now and again there's going to be some bonehead that thinks that zipper merging is the new, utopia, that it's going to solve all our problems in merging. The point is, you have a bottleneck, you have so many cars that can move through per hour, you can't, okay? Just merge over as soon as you can to keep yourself safe. Interpreting vehicles' movements, paying attention to your driving, and maintaining space in front of your vehicle. Again, maintaining space in front of your vehicle. That is the common theme. Mapping intersections and tracking road users. More than 40% of crashes happen at intersections, because this is where we intersect with other people. And as well, this is the place where we're most likely to encounter vulnerable road users. pedestrians, cyclists, motorcycle riders, kids on skates and scooters. All right, and now we have e-scooters. Oh my God, electric scooters. Those are just wonderful inventions. Okay, and we have cell phones. Awesome. So they're on their cell phones, they're driving, they're moving through intersections, sharing road space with vulnerable road users. So be especially careful at intersections. Locate intersections, map and track road users at intersections. Scan the intersection before entering, and when you're sitting there, you're mapping and tracking road users. If you're turning left, for example, you're looking at the far kitty corner to see what pedestrians are coming across the roadway, because you cannot proceed until that pedestrian comes across the roadway. All right, good luck on your driver's test, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Klaus is here, my friend. Driving on the Autobahn can be really annoying on Saturday on the way from the city of Hamburg to east coast of Holstein. Someone was, yeah, there's lots of those, Klaus. Not just on the Autobahn, in other parts of the world. They're all over the place. Mario, hello, my friend. Sebastian, it's annoying when fellow truckers come to Iowa and they pick up their speeds when they're trying to pass them in the acceleration lane and slow down when you decide to get behind them in the right lane. Yes, people do that as well. Parking on a hill permit test questions. Michael, hill parking is 3-in-1 rule. Okay, so everything's towards the shoulder except uphill with a curb. Uphill with a curb is up, and away like Superman. So that's the only time that you're away into the center of the roadway, and you let the back of the tire roll back and catch the curb as you're kind of back up for your hill parking. Everything else is towards the shoulder of the road. And the other thing is if you turn your wheels the wrong way on the uphill without a curb, it's only a couple of points. So don't get too bent out of shape about that, okay? It's minor. Klaus, I moved over to the left lane to let this driver on the Autobahn and was about to overtake him, and he speeds up to $130. I passed him, got back into the right lane, then slowed down to 100. So you're being retaliatory. You're getting back at the driver. Yes, okay. That probably not your best move there, Klaus. But anyway, elevator. I have seen drivers block the left lane in clusters. Left lane squatters, yes, they do. I was convinced that when I lived on the island of Victoria, or the island of Vancouver Island, I lived on Vancouver Island outside of Victoria, and the main highway from the ferries down to Victoria is the Patricia Bay Highway. There were people who would sit in the passing lane and do the speed limit on purpose because it was some kind of sport for them. So this is the stuff that absolutely fascinates me about driving, about the way that drivers act, okay? Reactionary and retaliatory. They react to what's going on in the driving environment, hope on a wing and a prayer they can get their vehicle stopped. Oh, and they're retaliatory. They sit in the left-hand lane to simply muck up traffic flow and to make other people angry. They do it on purpose. Why they do it on purpose, I don't know. It's just some weird question that I have in the back of my head. So this is what we want to do when we're driving. Now I want to show you this other article here. Just bear with me. I'll get over here. Okay, so this was the article I was talking about, published in the Atlantic. Why we should all be more afraid of traffic. Two terrifying, just right here, two terrifying car accidents taught me that despite what we like to believe, we can't control what happens on the roadway. Now, the first crash here that he talks about is he was driving along the interstate and he runs into a pedestrian who was out wandering around the interstate for whatever reason. I don't, for the most part, subscribe to the word accident. However, there are accidents. There are things that are going to happen when you're driving that you simply cannot predict, simply cannot control. So know that this is going to happen. All right. Okay, I have to have an account to see the whole article here, but you get the idea on the beginning of what it is. So that's there. And the second crash that he had, he was, as I said previously, he was on a road, an urban road. Somebody pulled out in front of him, and then he moved to avoid that sideswipe crash and then drove head on into another driver. So again, I repeat, if you have the choice between A head-on crash and a sideswipe crash, take the sideswipe crash every day of the week. That's the point that you need to take away from this to keep yourself safe when you're driving on the highways. Marizone, hello. What is your best advice for defensive driving? Marizone, the whole thing is here. This whole thing is about defensive driving, okay? But the two fundamentals of defensive driving: maintain space in front of your vehicle. You want that 3 to 4 second following distance at all times. The only time in an ideal world that you should be using the brake, slowing down to turn, or traffic in front of you is turning, slowing down to stop at a traffic light, controlling your speed on a downhill, or unexpected events. Those are the only 4 times that you should be using the brake on your vehicle. And the reason I say space management, keep space around your vehicle, 3 to 4 second following distance in front of your vehicle, and stopping in traffic 1 vehicle back. Your landmark for that is to be able to see the tires of the vehicle in front, making clear contact with the pavement. Space management. If you're not near anything, it's less likely that you're going to hit something. So, space around your vehicle, defensive driving. That is your best defensive driving posturing. We want to move you from being retaliatory and reactionary to being proactive and predictable. You want to respond to what's going on in the driving environment. And if you're scanning, you've got calm awareness, you're mapping and tracking other road users, and you're keeping that space, you have time. And because you have time, you can come up with options about how you're going to respond to what's going on in the driving environment. And by responding, you're going to significantly reduce your chances of being involved in a crash. That's defensive driving in a nutshell. And reactionary and retaliatory, this is not what you want to be. This is part and parcel of social driving. It's what everybody else does on the roadway. They follow too close. They speed. Don't come to complete stops at stop sign intersections. They don't scan intersections well. They don't know that they share road space with vulnerable road users at intersections. Okay? So, know that. No need to apologize, my friend Marion, for being late. No need to apologize, my friend. Klaus, yes, I know, but I absolutely hate it when you let someone on the freeway and try to passing those drivers. Those drivers speed up and not letting you pass when you let them on the right lane. I hear your frustration, Klaus. I totally hear your frustration because I'm the same. I'm just like, what are you doing? Oh my God, would you get your license out of a Cracker Jack box? You know, we're just in the car talking, and it's the same thing. My kids are like in the back seat listening to me talk, right? Because other things that people do drive us nuts, and we're just like, where did you get your license? And left lane squatters are my biggest thing right now. It's just like, oh my God, would you get out of the left lane and let me pass? Okay, does it come in green? Hello, chat. Does it come in green? I don't know. Maybe it comes in green. I know that green lights do, and I know that a lot of people steal green lights, and I really hate that when they do that. Alcohol is a depressant permit test question. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Don't drink and drive. Don't smoke pot and drive. Don't know the effects of prescription medication and over-the-counter medication. That is also a question on the test because many people are inebriated from over-the-counter medication and prescribed medication, and people don't know that. There are a lot of people who are driving around all, woo, yeah, what a good day, woo, you know, because the doctor prescribed them something and they have no idea what the effect is on their body. So, there you go. All right. Excellent. Okay, so we talked about the article, sideswipe crash. Pick the sideswipe crash every time if you have a choice. Okay. The other piece that I wanted to talk about, what did I want to talk about? Let me get here. Here we go. Okay. All right. So this was a question that I posted on the community tab this week, and it says, what is the speed you must drive for your DMV road test? This surprised me a lot. 4,300 people answered this question. I get really good participation in these questions, okay? 56% got the answer right. So, I was telling you earlier that I was going to let you in on the secrets of multiple choice questions. All right, those of us who write multiple choice questions, me for example, we listen to what you say. So one smart driver said to me that his instructor told him that if one of the options is all of the above, it's all of the above. Just pick all of the above, which is bad advice. It's very bad advice, because as soon as he told me that, I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to start baiting you. And I'm just going to put all of the above at the bottom just to mess with your head. So I just put all of the above at the bottom, and obviously it's not all of the above. 15% got that wrong and fell for that little trick of mine. The other one is keep up with traffic flow. Only 3% answered that, so that's not too bad. However, 26% said posted speed limit. And that's right. It's not the best answer, because keep in mind my tagline, right? Remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer, right? Posted speed limit is the right answer, but the best answer is posted speed limit or the flow of traffic, whichever is less. But only a little more than half of respondents actually got this question correct. Yes. And I put posted speed limit at the top of that question specifically to bait people, to specifically get people. I did that on purpose. And I also put all the above on it on purpose as well. So posted speed limit or flow of traffic. The reason I was surprised by that is because I have been saying this for 7 years now for drivers that have been going for their driver's test. What is the speed limit on your on-road driver's test? The flow of traffic or the posted speed limit, whichever is less. And apparently, I'm not communicating that well. So I'm going to break that down for you. So yes, you have to drive the posted speed limit. So if the posted speed limit is 30 miles an hour, drive 30 miles an hour. If you're in the city of New York and it's boroughs, then it's 25 miles an hour. So you drive the posted speed limit. However, the flow of traffic, if it's going less than the posted speed limit, you can only drive whatever the flow of traffic is. If you're moving through a construction zone, for example, which it is construction season here in the world because it's summertime, or in the northern hemisphere rather, not the world, construction zones, and traffic is only moving at 15 or 20 miles an hour, you can only do 15 or 20 miles an hour. So that's the speed you're going to drive for the purposes of your driver's test. Now, maybe I'm being too much of an academic and I'm overthinking it, but I'm trying to give you the best information for the purposes of passing your on-road driver's test. The other one that I asked here was, what is a space cushion? And this actually surprised me as well, is that almost 90%, 80%, 87% of respondents actually knew what a space cushion was. So apparently 2,600 people answered the question. 87% got the answer correct, which, I take that with a grain of salt because these are not really official studies, right? But a lot of people know what a space cushion is, and this is what I'm talking about in terms of space management. Keep space around your vehicle. Keep space in front of your vehicle. The one place that you can always manage space is in front of your vehicle, the following distance in front of your vehicle. So know that you can always control that space in front of your vehicle. All right, so those are the two things I wanted to give you an explanation about on the community tab. Oh, there's one more here that I want to just have a talk about. Most people got this right, 75% of people, which is, kind of average, satisfactory. Why must you use signals when turning or changing directions of your vehicle? Again, I baited you. I baited smart drivers on this one. All the above, which is not the right answer. And you should know that, because when you answer, here's the other technique, and I talk about this in the learner's permit questions on the videos, that there's almost always two of the options that you can eliminate almost right away. So number 2 is you like the clicky sound that the turn signal makes. That's not the right answer. So therefore, that answer is not right. So therefore, all of the above isn't right. So you've eliminated 2 of them almost all immediately. And then failing to use these can result in fines and demerit points. And that's correct. Again, we come back to the tagline. We come back to the tagline. Remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Okay? It's right because you can get a fine, but it's unlikely you're ever going to get a fine for not signaling. I mean, unless the cop is sitting right there and you annoyed him or her. The right answer is to communicate your intentions to other road users, because who cares about fines and demerits if you fail to signal and somebody runs into you and you're dead? It doesn't matter. Communicate your intentions to other road users. Most people got this right, but a couple of people had to go at me because they said, oh, number one is right. Failed to determine, blah, blah, blah. You're going to get a fine. No, you're not going to get a fine. Nobody's ever going to get a fine for not signaling, as I said, unless the police officer is right there and they're like super annoyed at you. All right? One car length. Yes. Sebastian, 25 miles an hour is dreadful. Sebastian, you were absolutely correct. 25 miles an hour is painfully slow. It's like going through a school zone at 15 miles an hour. It's just painfully slow. It's like, why don't we just all make it a walking city again? Get rid of cars. 3PO, Rick set up these like SAT questions, and Admiral says it's a trap. Yes, it is a trap. It is a trap. When I'm putting the questions up on the community tab, it's a trap, okay? So when you're answering the questions on the community tab, remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. And the other piece of this, when you're doing the learner's permit question test, slow down. Slow down. Answer the question of which was asked to you, okay? You are not Robert McNamara. Okay, for those of you who don't know who Robert McNamara was the Secretary of Defense and the architect of the Vietnam War in the 1960s. He was the consummate politician. He never answered the question that the journalist asked of him. He always answered the question that he wanted asked of him. Okay? But this is not the way that you answer multiple choice questions. Pick the key words out of the multiple choice question and then read each option carefully. And only after you have read each option carefully, then do you pick an answer. Okay? Just don't go, hey, oh, that's the right answer. No. Read all of the options and then carefully choose which one it is. And as I said to you, it's often quite easy to eliminate 2 of the 4 options. Okay? So know that. Elevator, I have seen drivers flash their lights at other drivers to tell them they are letting them in. Yes, they do that as well, and when it's safe to pass. The other thing is I made a mistake this weekend when I was coming back. And this goes back to what Klaus was saying about other people driving you crazy. Why are you on a highway with a horse trailer doing 60 kilometers an hour, 40 miles an hour in a 55 mile an hour zone? If you can't do the speed limit, I'm sorry. I know you got little horsies on your trailer there. And yes, you should be driving the speed limit. But you should not be doing 20 or 30 miles an hour under the posted speed limit. I like horsies. I like animals. But don't drive like a crazy person, especially after I've been driving for 5 hours and I just want to go home. All right, there's my little beat deep there. Green, I don't even drive if I'm hungry. That's probably a good thing. Awesome. Big B, these videos have really helped me become less pissed off with tailgaters. Thanks. That's awesome. I'm glad we can reduce. And this is really what it is, because it's not an ideal world, right? We get upset at other people when we're driving. Here's the other thing that you can take away from this in terms of emotional driving. No, you can take away from this in terms of driving. Driving is emotional. Emotional damage. What is that from? My kids have been saying that to me for days now. Emotional damage. Driving is emotional. We get super emotional, like, boom, like that. We go from like, oh, happy days. Oh, I'm going to run you off the road. Crazy people, okay? So know that. Driving is emotional, okay? We just got to tone down our emotions like a little bit when we're driving. Because I'm guilty. Guilty as charged. Marion, I have a question for you. I've been told that when you want to zipper merge, you want to go to the top of the lane and then force your way in, or as you get to the merge lane, take the gap when you can. Marion, I have written a whole chapter about the zipper merge and how absolutely asinine that idea is. Completely, utterly, 130% asinine. Okay? It's dumb. Don't do it. Okay? Don't do it. When you get a spot to merge into right away, do it. Okay? Because you're coming up to the merge point in this zipper thing that one person after the other. And the other thing is they've done studies, and I've got to find the rest of the study, that as soon as you throw trucks into the mix, like big semi-trucks, it doesn't work anymore because you got a semi-truck and you got 4 cars beside the semi-truck, and the semi-truck's going to let 1 car in, and then they're not going to let the other 3, and now you've got road rage. Okay? So this goes to everybody else out there. Do not zipper merge. What's going on with my thing here? Sorry, I thought I had the full screen up there, but apparently I don't. Transition. Okay, we tried it. Okay, Klaus, what playlist do you have on YouTube? Maybe your music helps me to be calm behind the wheel. I doubt it, Klaus, but we'll see what we can do. 3PO, emotional damage is from an Asian YouTube comedian named Stephen Hay, who throws a sandal to the floor and says, emotional damage. Yeah, it's from something else. 3PO, I'm assuming Rick doesn't like Lancaster, Pennsylvania then. Okay. I have seen drivers flash. Okay, we answered that one. Awesome. Klaus, stealing green lights. People stealing whole traffic lights in Canada. No, it's just kind of a joke that I have, that when I start hitting red lights and I'm running down a road, and it's like every one of them I'm hitting red, and I'm like, somebody is stealing the green lights. Drives me crazy. It's a trap. Okay, Epic, my friend, watching this from the Lehigh Valley region in Pennsylvania. Do you have questions for motorcycles and cyclists? Because they also get in serious crashes with cars, large vehicles. Key for them is SIPTI. Yeah, SIPTI is another defensive driving model. It's not a great defensive driving model. And we're back to this goofy thing again. I can't seem to get my screen here. Anyway, we're doing what we can here. Yeah, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Yeah, no, I do not like the zipper merge at all. Okay, bear with me. I'm going to try and restart this again and see if I can get this to do what it's supposed to do in terms of which screen is supposed to be up. Not having some technical difficulty this morning. We don't have wildfire smoke up here yet. However, if it continues to stay as hot as it is here, 3PO, it definitely is. Okay, so elevator fan, what does a stale green light mean versus a fresh green light? Okay, stale green is something we use in driver training, that if you didn't see the light turn green, then it's a stale green light, and it potentially could change yellow at any time, and you need to be prepared to stop for that. Also, traffic backed up on the cross street, pedestrians not crossing the roadway anymore. All of that is stale green lights. And as well, the timers, the counting down timers, that's another way to know that it's a stale green light. Okay, Marion, that's what I mean. Thank you. That is what I mean. Getting in when I see the gap. Awesome. I'm glad you're doing that, Marion. It's way safer than the zipper merge. I don't know which bureaucrats. Okay, bureaucrats come up with these great ideas and they think, oh, this is so wonderful, but they don't really have any idea as far as really solid defensive driver training. No, it's not safe. Okay, AI, Al, asked your question about U-turns. I'll see if I can help you out. 3PO, the haze made driving kind of difficult to drive in the East Coast. It was like a thick fog for about a week. 3PO, it was actually kind of funny because us here in the West, we saw the pictures. That's pretty normal for us here in August, and we were all kind of laughing. And there was actually a funny meme on Facebook about that. It was these guys in the gallows with the nooses around their neck, and they're kind of looking, they're smiling, they're like, hey, first time? It's kind of what we were in the West. We were seeing the pictures of the smoke and the haze in the East there, and we're like, hey, first time? We were kind of making fun there. Marion, yeah, it makes more sense doing it that way. Yes, for sure. Mallory, I do not know what social driving was until I started watching Smart Drive Test here on YouTube. And yes, Mallory, it's a term that I have coined. Social driving, and it definitely defines the problem of what other people are doing and how to deal with that problem, because that's what I'm trying to help you to do, is to be a safer, smarter driver. Coming green. Awesome. Okay, the last piece that I promised you here was a look at, bear with me. Here we go. Okay, see if this comes up here. Here is Driving Test Secrets. This is the front cover of Driving Test Secrets. We got a young woman who just passed her driver's test. Thumbs up here, which is awesome. Here you'll find the hidden skills and abilities that will guarantee you pass your driver's test first time. So, table of contents. Here's what's in the book about me. Okay, you want to know a little bit about more information about me. Lots of images in the book. Okay, I made sure somebody gave me that suggestion that there's lots of images in the book. Auto fails, automatic fails here. So you can go through. There's a list of automatic fails in the book. The other piece that I did here, as you can see, and no, a yellow light does not mean proceed with caution. It means if you can do so safely, bring the vehicle to a stop. Images, captions on the images listed, and so I tried to make it really user-friendly. The other piece here in tables of comments, so auto fails, automatic fails, too many demerit points, unexpected events, anxiety and fear, traffic signs. We go down here and I give you the traffic signs that are most common along the roadways, okay? Traffic signs, speed limit signs, pedestrian crossings, stop signs, yield signs, railway crossings. Stop signs come in different languages depending on where you are. If you're in Louisiana, for example, in the state of Louisiana in the United States there, you're going to get some of them in French, as well as in Quebec here in Canada. Slower traffic, keep right. It's not a suggestion as you might think. All right. We also have good information. What is social driving? Learner's permit. Must know car parts. So there's a section here on must know car parts. The ignition, push start. How does all of that work? Okay. Parts of the car you need to know to drive. Steering wheel. Some of the secondary controls that are on the steering wheel. The gear selector, the transmission. Trying to be funny. R for race, sorry. R for reverse. The parking brake. Nice little funny story here about not putting on the parking brake. Tachometer. What is the tachometer for? And then the foot pedals. What's in the footwell here? The brake pedal, the clutch, the accelerator, and the dead pedal. Okay, many people do not know what the dead pedal is. Here you can see the caption. In both an automatic and manual car, you use just your right foot to operate the gas pedal and the brake pedal. You cannot 2 foot for the purposes, you have to 2 foot for the purposes of your, no, sorry. You have to use 1 foot, your left foot to operate the accelerator, and right foot. I'm getting confused with my right and left. Right foot to operate the accelerator and the brakes. You cannot 2 foot it. You can't put your left foot use the brake. You have to do that to pass your driver's test. Clutch. Okay, so that's all there. And then driver's test day. What you need to do. Older learners, if you're an older learner. When I mean older learner, I mean like over 20 years old. There's tips and tricks here as well for that. And then finally, at the end of the book, for all of the terminology in the test, there is a glossary, 2-point reverse turns, 2-way stop signs, 3-point turns. All of this is in here in the glossary to help you out and to be a safer, smarter driver. So I'm going to get that up for the 15th of the month, and I'll have it on Amazon. I will get that ready for you and send you a link. And people who are willing to write me a review on Amazon will also get the book for free. Okay, so probably the first 100 people are going to get the book for free in exchange for a review on Amazon if you do that nicely, okay? Green, yes, it will be ready for you. I can't wait for the book to come out. I love the dashboard explanation. Awesome. All right. Elevator, if it's a stale green, cover the brake just in case the light turns yellow on you. Yes, there we go. Awesome. So that's the book. I'm very excited about the book because it has taken a lot longer than I thought it was going to take to get the book and get it ready out to you. But okay, today's the 12th, so within 3 days, by Friday, I'm hoping it's going to be up on Amazon. And as I said, first 100 people are going to get it for free. In exchange for that, I simply need you to write me a review on Amazon, and I'll put the link up. I'll send out emails. I'll let you know. I will broadcast it super far, super wide, that it's available, and you can write me a thing. So I'm very excited about it. 3PO meme is like when Minnesotians laugh at people complaining about how cold minus 30 degrees is. 30 degrees Fahrenheit is. Yes, indeed. Yes, we were, first time. It's kind of like when you tell people that they're coming to British Columbia or they're coming to Oregon or they're coming to Washington State, and you say to them, don't come in August because August is fire season. There are certain times that you need to go there and talk to the locals, okay? Because it's not nice here when it's fire season, that's for sure. Elevator, I have seen drivers gun it when the light turns yellow. Yellow doesn't mean gun it. Yes, and the excellent saying that one of the smart drivers said a couple of weeks ago is that yellow is the beginning of the red. It is not the end of the green. But you're absolutely right, Elevator. I stand at intersections and the light turns red, and the number of drivers that are accelerating through the intersection is a little bit scary, okay? Mario, full gas or panic stop on a yellow. It's usually, if it's safe behind you, it's going to be panic stop at the yellow, okay? Klaus, thank you for showing the book. I was strolling through the news and found an article where a robber was stealing a whole light pole in front of an official building in the city. Wumpertal. Yeah, or they get up there with the mask on and they're smashing the red light cameras. That's the other thing that they're doing because they're definitely upset at people about that. So all of that stuff going on. Defensive driving, okay? So the keys to defensive driving, and the question of Arizona asked me about what is defensive driving, what is the best thing I can give you. Know that goofy things are going to happen. Other drivers are going to do other goofy things, okay? Know that. It's just not a reality if you think you're going to go out there and nothing's going to go wrong when you're driving. People are going to cut you off. They're going to speed. They're going to sit beside you and take up your space. So keep space in front of your vehicle. Keep space when you're stopped in traffic, approximately one vehicle length in front of you. And that way, if you're not near anything, it's less likely that you're going to hit something. Anton, hello, my friend. How are you? I didn't see your comment there. I just saw it now. Al, no. For the first 100 people, they're going to get the book for free. It's going to be on as a promotion, or it might be some small amount of money, like $1 or something. But if you write a review in response to that for the book, that will be exceptionally appreciated, because that gives Amazon the social cues, the social, the algorithm and those sorts of things that they're going to promote the book. So I'm really looking forward to getting reviews for the book. That's what I was thinking. Sorry, I got a couple of things going on here. I was wrapping up in terms of the defensive driving. So the 4 tools that you have for defensive driving against everything that's going wrong, social driving, people speeding, following too close, tailgating, those types of things, are space management, observation, communication, and speed management, okay? So space management, keep space in front of your vehicle at all times. Observation, forward scanning pattern in checking your instrument panel. Far down the road, check your center mirror, far down the road, and then your 2 wing mirrors. That's your forward scanning pattern. When you're reversing, go slow. That way you've got time to respond to what's going on. As I said, a couple of weeks ago, I was dropping my son off at soccer, and I was in, the rec center and went to back up, and I looked through the back window, because a lot of people don't look through the back window, and there's somebody, there's one of the players walking between my vehicle. So had I back up, I probably would have hit them. So go slow, look first before you back up. 360-degree scan around your vehicle. Scanning patterns, changing lanes, shoulder checking, shoulder checking, shoulder checking. Every time you change directions of the vehicle, shoulder check, shoulder check, shoulder check. Signal, okay? Communication, the 5 ways we communicate with other traffic. Position of the vehicle, position of the road user on the roadway, lights and signals, eye contact, hand gestures, okay? Come on, no, stop, wait, I'm gonna go. And then finally, horn. In North America and the northern hemisphere, the horn is seen as a sign of aggression, so use it sparingly. And then finally, speed control, okay? And try and understand the different speeds between different vehicles and which different vehicles are going to be out on the roads different times of the year. This is the time of year we have lots of rental vehicles, camper vans, trailers, RVs, motorcycles, and all of those have very different handling characteristics going up and down the roadways. All right, excellent. Klaus, just thinking other drivers are goofies on the road, but sometimes we self are the goofies as well. And yes, excellent point, Klaus. The other point about that is that we're implementing skills and abilities of defensive driving, moving from being reactionary, we're going to react in time, we hope, and retaliatory, we're going to get back at that knucklehead, to being proactive and predictable drivers. The reason we want to make that transition is so that when other people make mistakes and when we make mistakes, because we make mistakes too. I make mistakes. I made a mistake on the weekend. I was telling you about the horse trailer driving 20 miles an hour below the posted speed limit, and I went to pass them on a double solid. I'm dumb, okay? I made a mistake, and I come back in, and I'm like, what am I doing? Just take a breath and chill, okay? Green, sometimes my car sways when I shoulder check. What am I doing wrong? Green, you're not making your shoulder checks fast enough. You're too slow on your shoulder checks. So you're quick shoulder check, just like that. Quick shoulder check, okay? If you go like this and you look, remember the vehicle will go where you're looking. So just speed up your shoulder check. Epic, on motorcycles and bicycles, if approaching yellow light, should you treat it as a red or proceed through it cautiously? Remember to keep, techniques when going through these junctions. If you are in the least doubt on a motorcycle or a bicycle, come to a stop, okay? Marizone, you're absolutely right. Summertime, you have to be more vigilant when you're driving, okay? Because these are the worst 100 days for crashes that we are in right now. You are more at risk of being in a crash now than you are in the wintertime in January and February, okay? Know that. All right, Marion, hate when people tailgate. I have it most of the time on the Sunshine Coast. Last week, yes, drives me nuts. Monty's cameras are always the best and always safe driving, doing your own thing. Yes, backup cameras are awesome, but make sure that you do all the other checks that you have as well. Love backup cameras, but still do your 360 degree around the vehicle. Still look out through the back window, okay? Because sometimes these things will go awry. Mallory, look forward to your new book, and it sounds really interesting. Thank you for that, my friend. Awesome. Al, are there cars coming, driving simulators, apps you'd recommend for someone who doesn't own a car to practice? There are some video games and those types of things. The thing about driving a car and learning how to drive, it's not a spectator sport. It's not a video game. It's not something you can do. You can get some practice. I would more suggest that you go out and ride a bicycle around. That's going to give you more skills to be able to drive well than it is on an app or a video game. Just because driving is so fluid and it's so dynamic. There are so many things that can change and so many things that you need to deal with, that it's something that you need to do that's experiential. For example, the horse trailer on the weekend driving 20 kilometers an hour below the posted speed limit. I said 20 miles an hour before. It was actually about 20 kilometers an hour below the posted speed limit. But, you got to get out, you got to do that, and you got to deal with these dynamic situations to be able to learn how to drive. Elevator, I hate it when people tailgate me in construction zones. And yes, unfortunately, people are going to do that when you're driving. So it's one of those things, you just got to put that space in front of your vehicle. If you can get off the road and let them pass, then do that as well. And that way you're going to keep yourself safe, according to the tailgaters on the roadway. All right, so that's essentially defensive driving in a nutshell. And as we said at the beginning, what we want to do is we want to make that transition from being retaliatory and reactionary. At least we want to reduce our amount of emotion that's involved in driving, right? Because driving is emotional. Driving is emotional, okay? And we want to reduce the amount of emotion that's involved in our driving, because when we get emotional, when we get upset, when we get angry, we basically have the brain power of 27 lizards and a 4-year-old. Okay? There's not a lot going on there in terms of reasoning. So we want to try and reduce that emotion so that we can move to being a proactive driver and being predictable on the roadways and keeping ourselves safe. All right? We're going to keep it there. Puppy time. Puppy time. Striker. Come here. Up. There you go. You got to say hi to everybody. You got to say hi to all the smart drivers. Hello, smart drivers. Look at me. I'm all dirty because I was out playing. You can't. What are you doing? There you go. No, you're not really impressed? All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Passed your driver's test in the last couple of weeks. Congratulations. And if you have a driver's test coming up in the next week or so, good luck on that. Another live stream tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Tune in for that. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great day. Bye now.